Kimmi, I'd like to give you the opportunity to respond to a headline. A sad case of a man. Love and Marriage Huntsville fans slam Maurice for demanding intimacy while Kimmi goes through chemotherapy. Kimmi, what is your response to the backlash that Maurice has been getting lately?
So he has never forced me to do one single thing. He has never made me. He has never implied he was going to leave me. So the headlines, in order to get likes and tags, I absolutely get it.
Kimmi, I'd like to give you the opportunity to respond to a headline, a sad case of a man loved, and Marriage Huntsville fans slam Maurice for demanding intimacy while Kimmi goes through chemotherapy. Kimmi, what is your response to the backlash that Maurice has been getting lately? So he has never forced me to do one single thing. He has never made me. He has never implied he was going to leave me. So that headlines in order to get likes and tags, I absolutely get it. Is it genuine regret, or is Maurice Scott merely trying to repair the damage by publicly pleading with Kimmi to return? Let's go back and dissect this completely. Maybe you guys could have more meetings together. Meeting for what? Kay said that she wants to be more present.
Maybe you guys could have more meetings together.
Meeting for what?
Kyle said that she wants to be more present. And then maybe you guys could work through all of that stuff that y'all had historically, working out you guys past or whatever.
I don't have past to work out.
Just even if
it's a direct, I don't want a whole bunch of extra stuff.
Hey, listen.
And then maybe you guys could work stuff that y'all had historically. Working out you guys past, or wherever I don't have past to work you to, just even if it's a direct. Don't want a whole bunch of extra stuffy. Listen, Maurice and Kimmi were portrayed as the mature couple on Love and Marriage Huntsville. From the start, at least initially, they weren't seen arguing or dragging one another in front of the cameras, with Kimmi being the strong, collected one and Maurice portraying himself as the career-driven family first kind of husband. They exuded a serene grown-up vibe. However, as time went on, the entire dynamic began to appear one-sided and viewers began to notice a pattern. Kimmi was always alone, keeping things together. She was managing the home, assisting Maurice with co-parenting, caring for her own child, supporting his objectives, and still making time for everyone else. Maurice, meanwhile, was frequently absorbed in his own world, whether it was pursuing a career in law, mentoring his son, or simply advancing his own agenda. Kimmi felt as though she had to explain her feelings in order to be heard, and hardly ever seemed to take the time to listen to her needs. On the recent episode of Love and Marriage Console, Maurice unfortunately got a DUI. You didn't realize that he wasn't home until the wee hours in the morning. And a lot of people were asking, well, why is Kimmi okay with her husband leaving until you wake up and not going straight home to be with?
On the recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Maurice unfortunately got a DUI. You didn't realize that he wasn't home until the wee hours in the morning. And a lot of people were asking, well, why is Kimmi okay with her husband leaving until you wake up and not going straight home to be with?
When Kimmi began to experience significant health issues, everything changed drastically. As you recall, she made her breast cancer diagnosis public, and her resilience during that period made people want to support her even more. Fans, however, saw something was wrong behind the scenes. When Kimmi was obviously upset or worn out, Maurice would act aloof, not mean or icy, but attached, as if he didn't completely comprehend the emotional burden she was bearing. Additionally, it was of providing emotional support rather than merely being present. Instead of listening when Kimmi needed to talk, Maurice would frequently try to make things better. When she needed consolation, he would offer reason, which began to create a silent barrier between them. When someone is fighting for their life and still feels alone in a marriage, that silence is more powerful than any argument ever could be. It's the kind where nothing is truly said aloud, but everything is felt. Even though Kimmi was physically fighting cancer, surgery, chemotherapy, exhaustion, and emotional ups and downs, she still had to cope with the psychological burden of feeling invisible in her own house. Kimmi would frequently withdraw to herself, according to unnamed production sources, not because she desired privacy from Maurice, but rather because it was more painful to feel ignored. While seated next to him, according to reports, she told friends that she felt more alone in the marriage than she had ever felt when she was single. And her admirers noticed as well. Detectives on social media began to notice that Kimmi had stopped wearing her wedding ring. In recent posts, there are no longer any birthday greetings or anniversary photos, and Maurice was only posting about real estate and motivational speaking engagements without mentioning his wife or her recuperation. Fans didn't like that kind of silences. especially since Kimmi had been so outspoken about standing by him no matter what. Online users began to wonder, is Kimmi going through this alone? At one point, because it appeared to them that the woman who had previously supported everyone was now going through the most trying time in her life without even a public display of support from the one person who ought to have taken center stage, and that lack of presence and emotional absence at the most vulnerable period of her life. It was harmful. In addition to disappointing, it destroyed the basis of intimacy, connection, and trust. And when that is gone, everything else begins to fall apart to do things for you. Let you know that they're doing it for you. They don't let you find out later on, oh wow, you were actually hurting, or you were going through something, and you were sharing that, and you were doing it for me. Maurice began blowing up Kimmi's phone after she subtly withdrew from responding in the same manner as before, stopped checking and stopped showing up, and stopped covering his emotional blind spots. Rediscussing late-night phone conversations, lengthy voicemails, sporadic texts that say, just talk to me, and even unexpected pop-ups at her house, according to searches. There was more than just I miss you energy. There was desperation, as if he had realized too late that the emotional safety net she provided him was no longer there. According to an insider, Maurice was phoning both friends
They do things for you, let you know that they're doing it for you. They don't let you find out later on, oh wow, you were actually hurting, or you were going through something and you were sharing that, and you were doing it for me.
and relatives requesting that they simply tell her to speak with me. Kimmi allegedly had to set limits and tell him to stop unexpectedly showing up, because it had gotten to that point. The revelation of a voicemail that had been leaked, however, was the true shock. Fans were shaken when it appeared late one night on a gossip blog. In the clip, Maurice's voice is raw, shaky, and clearly emotional. I know I didn't show up the way you needed, but I never stopped loving you. And if walking away is what you need to heal, I'll respect it, but please just talk to me one more time. He begs. Kimmi, clearly hurt. Fans are divided at this point. Some sympathize with him, stating, it takes real vulnerability to admit when you failed someone emotionally. Others didn't buy it. They referred to it as damage control, citing his silence during her health battle and claiming that it was all because Kimmi was strong enough to leave. Then suddenly there was the Instagram live meltdown. Maurice appeared shaken when he went live. He claimed that sometimes you realize what you have after it's gone, which is why he wasn't doing it for the cameras. He acknowledged that he wasn't always able to express his feelings, that he realized how much Kimmi meant to them both. When he watched her leave, he said, I didn't deserve her grace, and Isher didn't earn her silence. And just when you thought he couldn't be more vulnerable, without going into specifics about the breakup, the internet went into a frenzy when Maurice produced a letter in a ring. In that same live, Maurice pulled out a handwritten letter that he said he wrote the night Kimmi left. Headed. Didn't read all of it, but he shared a few lines that hit fans hard. Someone said, I thought being strong meant folding it together, but maybe real strength is saying I was wrong before you leave. He also disclosed that he had purchased a new ring for her as a sign of beginning anew, free from the constraints of previous styles, not to repudiate the biggest surprise of always. When he immediately offered to leave Love and Marriage Huntsville, he declared that he would leave the show that made him famous if the cameras were causing issues, or if being in the spotlight put strain on their marriage. He declared, I'd trade visibility for peace, with here in a second. Kimmi, meanwhile, refrained from reacting to the livestream, making any direct remarks, and giving in to the online sentimental storm. However, she did share a modest Instagram story a few days later, which consisted solely of a picture of a cup of tea and the caption, Peace feels different when you earn it. The lunch sighting followed. Fans saw Kimmi and Maurice eating lunch together at a quiet location in Huntsville. But as they were beginning to cheer for a reunion, a woman appeared with receipts, which completely changed the course of events. Then came Shayla, a name no one had anticipated, and Maurice most definitely didn't anticipate her pursuing him with all the evidence to support her allegations. An alleged mistress named Shayla came forward with what she called a truth bomb, voice notes and text screenshots that showed Mauricito be unfaithful during his marital problems. Maurice is shown in the text explaining to Shayla how hard life was at home, mentioning his emotional conflicts with Kimmi and how he was able to be himself. Maurice is said to have told Shayla in one of messages, I'm stuck between the woman I love and a life I'm not ready to leave behind. In addition to the voice note, it's obvious from the tone that he's playing the victim. A 3-minute video in which Maurice can be heard giggling and whispering into the phone while discussing a recent getaway he had with Shayla. This conversation's timeline corresponds with some of Maurice's public displays of affection toward Kimmi, such as the ring stun and large apology letter, when fans began to piece together that Maurice was allegedly having a full-fledged affair with Kimmi. While declaring his love for her on social media, it raised eyebrows. Shayla, who claimed she didn't want to come forward, said her motive was simple. "I'm exposing the truth behind his performance." She explained how, despite appearing to be the ideal, heartbroken husband, Maurice actually lived a different reality with her. When you consider the dates of Shayla's allegations and Maurice's public apologies, the timeline becomes more jumbled. It is alleged that Maurice is messaging Shayla about missing her and wishing they could escape together at the same time he is sending love notes to Kimmi. Maurice immediately adopted Avery conventional PR stance on social media. In a statement, his team referred to Shayla's claims as untrue and erroneous, claiming that they were the product of a resentful individual seeking attention. In an Instagram post, Maurice himself described the circumstances as regrettable, but denied any misconduct. He made sure to highlight how much he loves Kimmi, while stating that his main goals are recovery and development, and that he's hoping they can resolve their differences in private. But here's the problem: Shayla's background lends credibility to her claims, which go beyond simply accusations. She has previously been connected to other high-profile incidents and has been characterized as someone who doesn't hesitate to speak up. She even shared a few social media posts showing her with Maurice at specific times, which runs counter to his claims that he is concentrating on his marriage. Kimmi hasn't specifically disparaged Maurice, but she hasn't stood up for him either. Some claim that her silence says a lot. It seems as though she is allowing Maurice to hang himself by his own deeds. Kimmi is emotionally checked out, according to insiders close to her. There are even rumors that her silence could mean the marriage is permanently over. Kimmi's close friends and family think she's given up on mending a relationship in which she's been emotionally neglected. Can a man truly change after he has finally lost the one woman who held him back? That is the question now. Or is Maurice simply lamenting the picture rather than the woman he used to take for granted? Although it's a difficult truth to accept, it's evident from Kimmi's emotional toil that sometimes people don't change until everything they've taken for granted is gone. We'd like to hear from you all. Do you believe Maurice is truly sorry, or is he merely sorry he was discovered? Leave your comments below. And since their reunion season is quickly approaching, don't be shocked if Kimmi does end up saying and relatives requesting that they simply tell her to speak with me. Kimmi allegedly had to set limits and tell him to stop unexpectedly showing up because it had gotten to that point. The revelation of a voicemail that had been leaked, however, was the true shock. Fans were shaken when it appeared late one night on a gossip blog. In the clip, Maurice's voice is raw, shaky, and clearly emotional. "I know I didn't show up the way you needed, but I never stopped loving you. And if walking away is what you need to heal, I'll respect it, but please just talk to me one more time." He begs. Kimmi clearly hurt. Fans are divided at this point. Some sympathize with him, stating it takes real vulnerability to admit when you failed someone emotionally. Others didn't buy it. They referred to it as damage control, citing his silence during her health battle and claiming that it was all because